Welcome back to the sky. I was trying to think of we'll just keep rolling. I was trying to think of a creative way to talk about it. It's an NFL podcast. I'm on camera here. We've got Lukey over there. He's going to be my Jamie again.
Make sure you're subscribing if you're watching on YouTube as well.
Okay, yep. So I want to touch on that. Very grateful for the response that we got for 10 in the Can. I was out to dinner last night, and then when I come home, I had a whole heap of messages in my DMs. We're so grateful for all the responses, all the nice responses that we got. But it's really important. We want you guys to subscribe to our channel. YouTube's the best platform that we can do, especially that show, because we talk a lot of shit, we swear and whatnot. I can see myself on camera now. That's great. Yeah, leave it like that so I can kind of see where I'm going. So yeah, if you can subscribe to YKTR Sports,
just YKTR on YouTube, we are. It's where all the vlogs. It's where everything is, and yeah, 50% of the degenerates not getting after it by subscribing.
We need more from you, huh? But yeah, we love doing this. We love putting out that sort of content. I've had questions about 10 in the Can. We're probably going to do that every fortnight now. It seems to hit really well for us.
Good energy between the boys.
It's easy. It's an easy podcast because, like, honestly, that we got the mics going. But Lukey, sitting around, that's the sort of shit we talk all the time. So.
That's just like being at the pub with the boys.
So that's exactly easy. Looking forward to doing more of that.
Everyone did get an insight into that through Footy Companion and whatnot, but it's cool when it's just like a podcast setting and
just us boys.
Yeah, the next one's everyone wants a house tour of the kennel.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to
do a vlog?
We're going to come out, vlog, and do like a proper house tour for all the degenerates. So make sure you clean up those shoes at the front, gone.
Yeah, we need a shoe rack, so we've got to...
So get after it over the next week or so. Make it nice and clean.
Okay.
Get that cleaner in.
Yeah. Mamacita. Any vape sponsors out there too? Me and Simmy been... I don't know, I just thought I'd throw that out. That was willy-nilly, but we've been smashing these fucking vapes, so...
Yeah.
They cost you an arm and leg.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Skipper in the Prez, they got pushed back. He's out swinging golf clubs.
Yeah, so if you seen his videos yesterday, I think he had an Instagram story. He got invited to a golf two-dayer. So me and the Prez will get back to it next week. Very grateful for the Prez. Hope he hits him well. I think he had himself a day out yesterday. So... we'll get back to Skipper and the Prez next week. We might even sneak that in, do a little double day where I get Hens in on the Friday, and then maybe I'll come in and do a FaceTime with the Prez.
Well, this one is the NFL Q&A podcast. We've done one of these before. We've done a couple of these, actually.
Yeah.
The first one off is your boy, the graphic that I used for it today as well. MVP award and the quarterback award.
Yeah.
We've got Rodgers, Allen, and Henry. Yeah,
so what that means, because I wrote all this stuff down for Lukey. So it's an MVP. I got to ask my thoughts on the MVP, which I've been pretty transparent on this podcast before when I've talked NFL. At the start of the year, I loved Mahomes. Throughout the year, I even tipped him again halfway through the year. And then I had is there anything going on with the mic there? Right?
No.
Oh. And then throughout the year, with about 4 or 5 rounds to go, I played it as perfectly as I think I could. I cashed out my Mahomes bets. I put that in the SBC. So if you're in the SBC, you obviously seen the jam. I did. It's one of the things that I pride myself on, my NFL futures. If you've been listening to the podcast, I've done all right with them in the past. With the MVP bet, I cashed out on the Mahomes bet, and then I doubled down on Rodgers, who I also had a little nibble on at the start of the year. So as of right now, I'm very confident, despite a few questions in the DMs about Derrick Henry. Had an outstanding season. Another question is it a quarterback award? It pretty much is. I don't know if you weren't following about 3 or 4 years ago. I think when Rodgers won his last one, I thought well and truly J.J. Watt deserved it that year. I think that was the same year. Correct me if I'm wrong. We'll check that later. I'm sure I'll get it in the comments if I'm wrong. But it's well and truly a quarterback award now. Whether they rename it or anything, that's a moot point. It comes down to Rodgers and Allen in the end. They come home really strong. Patty Mahomes was a little bit touch and go. I think they're setting themselves to the playoffs, so I'm still high on the Chiefs. But I think, obviously having week 17 off and the way that Rodgers and, in particular, Allen flew home to put a bit of pressure on, but I think Rodgers takes home his 3rd MVP. So I love gold, baby.
How old is he now?
36 or 7.
Can't.
Fuck, he's killing it, man. And Yeah, actually, we'll address the Packers a little bit later on because I've become recently very excited about them.
Next one, Eagles tanking. And then is that Hurts versus Wentz you've got there?
Yeah, so if anyone watched the last round of the Eagles versus Washington, the Eagles, Doug Peterson in particular, well and truly tanked. It's something that we haven't seen in NFL before, not in my time anyway. I've been sort of following NFL for anywhere between 10 to 15, pretty much 10 years closely, and then 10 to 15 years just as a casual fan. But I can't remember seeing a tanking job done like that, especially considering how important it was for Washington and New York Giants in particular. I think everyone's talking about the quarterback controversy there with Wentz and Hurts. I think it was more so to do with picks because, at the end of the day, I think they moved up 3 spots from 9 to 6. So that could be the difference between getting a proper difference maker. If anyone knows the draft, if you're in that rebuilding phase, which I think Philly are finding themselves in now, they need to really make that pick worth it. And if they get down to 6 and they're able to get maybe the top wide receiver, the guy that just won the Heisman, Devontae Smith and Jamar
cool
Chase.
Speech.
I didn't see the speech.
Yeah, he spoke because he's always been like a littler guy and everything like that, just all work ethic and stuff like that. It's on SportsCenter, look it up.
Yeah, Gun. And I sent a little write-up that a teacher wrote some really nice words about him and how he applied himself at school. But I'm really high on Jamar Chase as well. He was Joe Burrow's go-to target with Justin Jefferson at LSU. He sat this year because it wasn't looking like they were going to have a great year. So if the Eagles end up sitting there, they need fucking a whole heap of help at wide receiver. So if they end up getting Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith, it could be a good decision. No one's going to question it down the road if those two end up hitting. So unlucky for the Giants. It was a weird game to watch because Hurts is sitting on the sideline, and the last 4 or 5 weeks, he was starting to play some. When he got injected into that offense, they sort of found a new lease on life, and he was playing some good football. So as a just like a casual fan, just not really caring about the results of that, whether it was going to be Washington, for me being on the NFC, Washington or Giants, it didn't bother me no matter what. So it was a weird game to watch. I ended up flicking off in the end because. When they chucked that, I can't even remember his name, and I'm normally pretty good with the names, but when they chucked that third-string quarterback on it, they lost me.
Next one, we've got Brady to Bucks versus Pats and Bill Belichick. That was an interesting way.
Obviously the Pats not making the playoffs for the first time since in the Brady era, I believe, or if they missed it the 1 year that he did his ACL, and then Brady obviously going to the Bucks. It was always going to be a tough year for the Pats because they lost so many players. But the conversation's always going to be Bill Belichick versus Tom Brady. They were linked together for so long. They had so much success. Brady found himself in a nice situation, started okay, a bit scratchy through the middle, and then really come good at the back end of the year. So do the Bucks make some noise? We're going to talk about that a little bit further down in pretenders and contenders. And I'll have my thoughts on the Bucks down there.
Here we go. Jets, 2-pick quarterback or trade playoffs?
Yeah, so that's to do with the Jets picking a 2 out. Must be a few Jets fans out there because everyone's assuming that Trevor Lawrence goes to the Jags.
ISIS Gary V fan club that follows YKTR Sports.
Oh, yeah?
Could be. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, sweet. So with the Jets, do they take Justin Fields or, a couple of the other quarterbacks there that I think, Trey Lance was thereabouts in some of the projections and whatnot. Or do they stick with Darnold, get him, fix his offensive line, or give him a few more weapons, and maybe even trade back a few spots? So
that's what that KFC on Barstool, because he does the Jets wrap up for them every week.
Yep.
And he said that Sam Darnold, he rates Sam Darnold. He's just had shit around him for so long.
Yeah,
so.
He hasn't come into a good situation. They're, in particular, with their offensive line and the weapons that they've given him, he hasn't really had a running game. He hasn't had much. They've got Le'Veon Bell on the back end of his career, and he's doing a nice job now at Kansas City as a role player, or he's been slotted into more reps due to the injury to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But, they haven't really given him a running game. I'm just sweating a little bit now as I take this hoodie off. Take that off.
Gets warm in here, eh?
Shout out to Earls, eh? We love supporting all the boys. Louis Brown and the Earls collection. Fuck, this is a nice top, but it was cold outside and it's fucking good in
Feels like you're at Bankwest.
See how good... Yeah, I know. I'm sweating up like I was at Bankwest again. Let me see. How good podcast, though. You can just willy-nilly take your fucking hoodie off halfway through.
Scope podcast. Bit
Get on with it.
All right, next one. Have you finished? Yeah, we finished on that point.
Yeah, the Jets one. Yeah.
Pretenders and contenders.
Yeah, all right. So last year, I did a really good job of this again. I'm giving myself a big rap because it's not often that I do a good job with some of the tips. If you've been following the SBC when it comes to horses, whether it comes to NRL, Super League, where I thought I did my best work, I've actually done pretty well with my predictions for the NFL while I've been doing this podcast. Last year, I think halfway through, with about 4 weeks to go, I said that it was going to be between the two teams that were actually in the Super Bowl, the 49ers and the Chiefs, the Saints and the Ravens. And look, they're pretty, what's the word? Like it didn't take it, like they were the favourites, so it didn't take much. But there were a few people thinking, you know, like I left my Packers out, who were the number one, who ended up playing in the NFC Championship game. I left the Patriots out with, you know, we all know how that turned out. They got one and done. So yeah, I've done a pretty good job of this. And then even with some of my future bets that I laid out throughout the start of the year with the Chiefs, obviously getting the 1 seed, I'm still very happy where they're at. So I've got 3 teams for you now going into the playoffs. So I've got 3 teams that can win it. I've got the Chiefs. I'm still sticking to that. I think they're a little bit scratchy at the back end of the season, but they're well and truly looking ahead to the playoffs. They rested a lot of their starters in week 17. Andy Reid is historically really good at coming off a bye or a rest week. So giving him the preparation to watch the game and get ready for whoever they may play. I think, which side are they on? Can you read me the AFC? So they're on...
Colts, Bills, Ravens, Titans.
I think they've got Ravens or Titans. I believe they've got Ravens, the winner out of the Ravens and Titans. So whoever it may be, I think they're in a good spot. They've performed well against both those teams as well as the rest of the NFL over the last couple of years. So I think they're in a really good spot. I'm really happy with the bets that I put on them at the start of the year and where they're at. The other team in the AFC, you can't ignore what the Bills have done for the last 6 weeks. They've really got solidified down on their defense, and Josh Allen is just playing out of his skin. I've been a big fan of Josh Allen for a while. A couple of years ago, the boys gave me a bit of grief in our fantasy chat that I pushed for Josh. The year that Lamar, Baker, Josh Allen, all that come out, I had Josh Rosen as my number 1 quarterback in the pre-draft. That didn't work out well, but I had Josh Allen my number 2. I liked his situation. So, Bills, it's too hard to ignore. They're probably going to see the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, in my opinion. So, they're definitely a contender. And I normally don't like to jinx it because they're my team.
Easy.
Yeah, Packers. I
hope so too. You know they're my team.
Yeah, Lukey, you're with me. I think they're a genuine contender this year. Everything's flowing nicely. I had my question marks on their defense. They solidified that with a nice little pickup with Snacks Harrison. The linebackers are playing a lot better this year, and Rodgers is just obviously playing it. He looks so comfortable. We copy the skipper and the Prez show off the show that he does with Pat McAfee, and just this air of confidence that he's got at the moment.
Swag. Just doesn't care. Like that clip I know Ice tagged you in it. I think it was this morning where he's talking about the count.
The play.
And how like his repetitions and how he always does it. And they're like, are you going to call it? You're going to call it? You call a fake one, they'll dive. It's just levels, eh?
Yeah, he's on the next level. I think that has a lot to do with LaFleur, the coaching. Can you hear the aircon in here too? I'm fucking sweating up. I think, with LaFleur, I think he's done a really good job on offense. And if there's any team to come out of the NFC, I said for a while that I didn't think a team from the NFC could win it. But considering how well the Packers have been playing, it's hard to ignore them. And like I said, that's taken a lot to put that out there because I'm one of those guys that always tries to play down the Packers. I've got a couple of guys in the DMs that hit me that are Packers fans as well, and they're like, come on, like, surely you're feeling the Packers now.
Give us a rap.
You're feeling the Packers now. And, I'm well and truly feeling the Packers now. I think, we're one of the teams, and I'd love to see a Rodgers versus Mahomes Super Bowl. I think that'd be unreal. And I think it's really important that both those teams got the 1 seed, especially our Packers. with going into the playoffs with all the stuff that's happening with COVID this year, you'll see the way that it affected the Browns a couple of weeks ago with the wide receivers against the Jets when they end up losing against the lowly Jets. I think with one of my picks, it's a thing that could play into one of my picks that I've selected for the SBC multi. If a couple of players, I think Cooper Kupp is 50-50 due to COVID. So having that week off to just not deal with that that issue will be massive. And then, maybe a few teams end up falling victim to COVID and missing out. So
have you given your dark horse?
Oh, dark horse. I don't really think there's a dark horse in there. If I was to pick one, because I think all three of those, a lot of people will agree that mostly all three of those are, well, they're the favourites again. There's no point in, if I'm putting money on it, there's no point in just trying to find something value just for the sake of finding value if I don't see it. But if there's a tricky team and they've got to go through one of the teams that I declared is the Colts. Phillip Rivers, if they didn't have Phillip Rivers at the end of his career, if they had him, probably 4 or 5 years ago, probably be a little bit more high on him. They've got a nice running game going on. Their defense has been up and down, but if there's a tricky team that's still left, I think the Colts, and I like the fact that they're not being talked about at all. They're not on anyone's radar. So if they would upset the Bills this week, that'd be fucking crazy, and then they would be in a position to really kick on, because then I think next week they would be playing the winner out of the Steelers and the Browns. So.
Your next one, Metcalf versus Ramsey.
Yep, so this is going to be part of my SPC multi this week. They're one of the games. I've got the Rams-Hawks game. I think this is really important. Ramsey's done a good job on him in the 2 games this year. The knockout of Metcalf coming out was that he had a limited route tree when he was playing at Old Miss, and that's why he ended up going in the second round. But he's obviously exceeded those expectations. He's played really well. But you get a bump and run guy like a lockdown corner like Jalen Ramsey. Sometimes I think matchups, in particular in the NFL, are so crucial compared to any other sport. And I really like this matchup of Ramsey versus Metcalf. And then on the flip side, not even on the flip side, and then on the back of that, what the rest of the defense can do with big 99 Aaron Donald up the guts, and if he can get pressure or gets a Russell Wilson, I think that is a determining factor, even despite the quarterback issues that's going on with the Rams at the moment.
Into your picks, go. This is where you do your best work.
All right, picks, here we go. I'm going to do them every week too.
Yep.
Even if it's not on a podcast, I'll do my picks and we'll chuck them up. We'll do a little graph.
Of course. AFC, Colts-Bills.
Colts-Bills. So, like I said, I think this is one of the trickier teams, but I can't go against the Bills. So I'll take the Bills again in that game.
Ravens-Titans.
Ravens and Titans. So I'm taking the Titans in this. They're the underdogs in this game. I can't get it out of my head the way that Lamar's and the Ravens have performed in the playoffs in the last couple of years since he's been the quarterback. And then in particular, also playing against the Titans. Everyone knows Derrick Henry's going to run it. Everyone in the Ravens knows Derrick Henry's going to run it. Everyone in the NFL, all the fans know he's going to run it. And they still haven't been able to stop him. No one in the NFL this year rushed for 2,000 yards, which is fucking crazy in this day and age when it was leaning towards more of a passing game. But I think Derrick Henry and that offense have their way with a really stout. For whatever reason, Ravens haven't been able to stop him in the past. Can they change that? Can they flip the script? They're favourites at the moment. I believe it's at Tennessee as well. Even though home ground advantage doesn't matter anymore. I'm going the Titans in that game.
Across to the NFC.
No, there's one more in the Browns-Steelers.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Browns-Steelers.
Yeah, so Browns-Steelers. This is a coin flip for me in this game. I went back and forth a few times.
Juju dancing on logos? Or?
Juju, yeah. Ever since Juju stopped dancing, they've done all right. They've done all right. The Steelers. I don't know if you've seen it. If you follow me in the SBC, I was high on the Browns winning the AFC North at one point. It was looking pretty good when the Steelers lost to the Bengals. Fuck, I don't really trust Big Ben, but I feel like. Yeah.
Like you said, a bit of COVID dramas with the Browns.
Yeah, COVID dramas. I believe the coach... Did the coach miss last week, just gone? No, he could be... Yeah, the coach is going to miss Stefanski, who's been one of the better coaches this year, the way that he's turned around the Browns. I believe he calls all the plays. And he'll have my old Green Bay Packers quarterback coach, Alex Van Pelt, will be calling the plays for the Browns this week.
Can he call it remotely, or just you got to sort of be in the zone?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not too sure.
If any game's got the technology to do it, it's the NFL.
But also, yeah, calling it, maybe if he has a headpiece on, but do those 2 or 3 seconds matter when it comes to play calling? Does it matter when it calls to challenges?
True.
All those sorts of things come into it. So it'll be interesting to see how much of an effect that has. I'm going to go Steelers, but like I said, I think that one's a coin flip. And if I was playing anything on that game, I think I've looked at around at a few of the bets, I end up just putting a head-to-head bets for my SPC multi because whatever. And I'm not going to punt on them as well because I've got the future bets going on, so I'm sort of just paying attention to them at the minute. But if I was to go anything in that game, I'm thinking unders. I think the defenses might step up a little bit more and the offenses struggle. Yeah, struggle a little bit, run the ball a little bit more.
Across to the NFC, Rams versus Hawks.
All right, Rams versus Hawks. Like I said, stated before with the Metcalf-Ramsey debate, I think the quarterback controversy with regards to if Goff plays or if the backup who played last week, I'm forgetting his name, I'm having a blank on his name. Anyway, I think it might favour him if Goff doesn't play. I'd probably prefer not to see Goff. I think he struggled in patches a lot throughout his career, and I'd probably prefer him not to play. But this game's going to be a coin flip as well. Hawks are favourites, but I'm taking the Rams in this. I'm taking another underdog. So I think that's basically leaning down. I think that they're going to be able to get enough pressure with the front four from the Rams. Ramsey locks down Metcalf. And then, does Tyler Lockett come up with a few big plays? Some of the tight ends that, Russell likes moving around to his tight ends, or the running game, can they manufacture a running game that's decent with Carson and whatnot? But yeah, I'm taking the Rams there.
Bucks versus Washington.
I think this is going to be a close one. Bucks have been playing really well. Chase Young come out and talked a little bit of smack. He's one of my favourite players that's not on the Packers. Watch a few videos on him. I like the way he carries himself. He's a team captain straight away for Washington. I think Washington are going to be really good next year. They've got to obviously sort out their quarterback situation. But even Bruce Arians has come out and said, we're not playing against the 7-9 Washington team. We're playing against the 4-1 Alex Smith-led Washington team. So since he's been quarterback, they're not playing Dwayne Haskins. I think this game's going to be pretty close. I'd imagine a lot of people are thinking blowouts for this game, but I'm going to say Washington keeps it pretty close and does a good job and puts a bit of pressure again on Brady because they can rush with their four. They've got a really nice front four for Washington, and I think they make it a bit tricky. And if Alex Smith can make a few plays, they've got a bit of a dink and dunk offense. So whether they can manufacture 15 to 20 points and keep it close, we'll see what happens. But
Bears versus Saints.
Bears versus Saints.
Chicago.
Yeah, this is weird. I think it's one of those games for me where the Bears will beat them and it'll be weird, or the Saints will blow them out, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think
no in between.
I don't think the Saints win close because they've had their own dramas in the playoffs for the last couple of years. Everyone knows that, historically they've had a really good regular season and got to the playoffs and lost to a few teams. Maybe one in particular that they shouldn't have lost, the Rams one, because of the pass interference. They lost the Vikings game in the manner that they did with that, with the two defensive players running into each other. Yeah, so Bears. I think the Bears got humbled by my pack last week, and whether that has an effect on them, now they're coming up against another veteran quarterback who can dink and dunk them. But yeah, I'm taking Saints. I'm taking Saints in a big one. Yeah, they should be able to cover.
And your SPC multi.
And the SPC multi. All right, so I haven't put anything in.
Is it the multi of doom? Is that the new?
Yeah, it's the multi of doom. Yeah. I'm going to go, like I said, the two underdog teams that I thought these games were coin flips for me as well. I'm going the Titans to smash it down the mouth of the Ravens, and I'm going the Rams to make it really uncomfortable for Russ and the Seahawks. So both of them are underdogs. They're both paying around $2.50. I had a fucking lick on that too, 500. Yeah, it's SBC money. We're doing well because So Sunny's fucking killing it. Shout out to So Sunny.
Huge shout out.
Basically now for the next couple of weeks, I might try to just chuck on a few NFL bets and just let So Sunny do his thing and just keep backing them. And put money on that horse.
It's been a good run. It's like six months or so, Sonny, in the club.
You know what, and I'll say this because I've given him a rap in the SBC before as well. He's done a really good job at the start of the SBC, and I spotted him pretty early. And it's
because he could articulate himself as well. He was giving the details behind it. That's why he stood out.
He knows what he's talking about. Yeah, so I ended up seeing him pretty early. Got in a bit of jam. To his credit, me and him have messaged a few times in DM. He sometimes gives me a bit of mail early before he gets on the group, and he gets smashed and ends up coming in, which is a perk of being the skipper of the punters club. Mm-hmm. But also he said to me, because I was hitting him up during the spring carnival, like everyone's keen to bet, and he's gone, honestly, mate, the horses are so good that it's I don't really bet too much in the spring carnival. And even though he was putting bets on, it was fucking pissing me off because he puts his bets on and he had a few lemons that are coming on who don't provide the jam at all. Fucking, I know who you are too, you lemons. And he was having a rough time through the spring carnival, but like he told me in the DMs, he's like, I don't really like betting it, but I'm sort of just putting it out there for someone to have a play on.
Yeah.
And he goes, mate, when it gets to summer, that's when I do my best work. Like, summer's me go-to, and fuck, he's lived up to it. Yeah. He's killing it. He knows, like he thinks, he actually knows his stuff. He knows that the horses aren't as great around this period, so being able to pick a few.
Who would have thought So Sunny does his best work in the summer as well,
Hey, how good's that? You kept that to yourself too, didn't you? Yeah,
did.
Nice.
That's it. That's all your questions. You had a question to flick back to.
Oh, Lukey. Yeah. So, do you want to get on the? Do you want to get on the camera for this? The other night, I forgot to ask Lukey if anyone was watching 10 in the Ken. Who?
So I could stick it.
Yes. All right. So, who would you least like to date your sister out of the groups, out of the YKTR sports team?
I've been out with you boys a couple times, seen what you get up to, some of the antics. I'm going to have to say Normie.
Normie MY?
Great bloke, legend, but it's my sister. I've got to look after her. I know he's got his things that he looks for, and he's got his little ways with women, and I think my sister's... I don't need the subject.
You don't need that. Have you got a sister?
No.
Oh,
yeah, I got a younger brother.
Yeah. And who would you most like to date your sister?
I'll give it to you, Skipper.
Oh, yeah. Wow, I didn't see that coming.
You're getting after it always. Trying to get me after it.
Oh, no, you're making me feel bad now.
And then, you get after it. You look after me, so you're always going to look after my sister as well.
Oh, I love you, brother. That's a good way to finish, eh? Skipper signing out, baby.
Let's go.